We were the first to announce to this country that within a time frame of 4 weeks, Yar'Adua will die, because we received information and he had been poisoned. And we published it on NigerNet, the first community of Nigerians on the internet. People called us names. They said we were alarmists. But within 4 weeks, Yar'Adua died. Zach Ajuwon.
All right, guys, this is really very shocking. President Muhammadu Buhari has been buried, but the Northerners are still celebrating his death, saying, not being the real person. But the thing is that in 2027, before 2027, we go know, because blow go they fly up and down. We go know whether na the real Buhari now they carry come bury or not. But the Northern youths, these are the Northern youths. Northern youths will tell you that no, that is not Buhari. You see what they are doing, wishing President Muhammadu Buhari death. Why? They have no right to do that. Anyway, let's watch this. I will be right back.
Greatest leader that is highly demonized in this country. Even in his death, Abacha is highly demonized in this country. But I keep telling people that Abacha is not what people are trying to paint him to be. I will challenge anybody to mention any democratic leader we have had in this dispensation that his economic impact can be compared to that of Abacha. But Buhari that spoiled Nigeria, totally destroyed Nigeria. A man that waged war against Nigerians on October 2020. A man that borrowed billions of naira for his friends and his cabinet to loot and steal is the one people are saying we should not speak ill about the death. Buhari that spoiled Nigeria. Do you know how many lives that lost in the regime of Buhari? Buhari totally destroyed the economy of Nigeria, but it's the one people are saying we should not talk ill about the death. But Abacha that improved our foreign reserve from millions to 9.something billion is the one they are demonizing up to now. A man that reduced inflation from 50-something% to 8.something% is the man they are demonizing up to now. But I will tell you, Abacha is not what people are trying to paint him to be. It is high time Nigerians should know that Abacha is not what people are painting him to be. All the people are calling themselves democratic agitators. Mention one democratic agitator that agitated against Abacha that is not a criminal now. All of them are criminals. They were not agitating against Abacha not because they love democracy. They were agitating against Abacha because they were looking for opportunity at which they can steal and loot this country. And that's what all of them are doing. Mention one democratic leader that agitated against Abacha that is not a criminal now. And there is none of them that we have had in dispensation that the economic impact can be compared to that of Abacha. Yes, Abacha might have his flaws, but if they can demonize Abacha, why can't we demonize the Buhari? Buhari, a man that waged war against Nigerian youth on October 2020 because they are agitating for NSAS, police brutality. A man that destroyed our economy. A man that went to borrow billions of dollars for his friends and family, for his cabinet to loot. You can see all the criminal praising him now, chanting praise, demonizing the people that are trying to say the truth about Buhari. When Yar'Adua died, the whole country was mourning. If you are doing the right thing, you don't need to beg people to mourn. When Yar'Adua died, the whole country was mourning. Up to now, people still miss Yar'Adua. But look at Buhari. People are celebrating, even in the north, people are celebrating his death because he's a clown. It is time for us to correct our leadership problem. And INEC is the Lucifer of Nigeria. INEC.
Alleged reports, flying on social media that the ECOWAS president and whether it's a clone or a fake Buhari, another Buhari arrested in Niger, and it's a big confusion, right now as regards Buhari, death. A lot of people have come out and said, what is Tinubu's what is Buhari's lineage or linkage with Niger Republic? We know when he was president, he built a railway to Niger Republic.
He actually said it when he was still president of Nigeria, that immediately he leave position of power, that he's going to relocate to Niger, and that was why we saw to an extent he was busy buying different cars, building houses in there, to an extent he built a personal mansion there. But to our surprise, and we never had here any time in the history that when he moved to Daura, either he split in and split out again. But the surprising thing is that, immediately, within a short space of time, we saw Tinubu handing over to the new ECOWAS leader, chairman, president, no matter how you call it, for Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio. So, and
was he happy when he handed over?
we don't know whether he was happy because the Western powers insisted that Bola Tinubu had not been able to deliver what they asked him to do. Especially, and that's why Macron ran away from him. Bola Tinubu cannot have access to Macron again. And look at what is happening now. The Trump is already fighting him, with a lot of things now. I'm meaning that Tinubu is totally disorganized, and that is why we went hidden for a few days. But the breaking is that when Buhari autopsy and there is undergoing crisis in London government clinic, let me put it that way, we are hearing that another Buhari has been arrested in Niger Republic under this very president of ECOWAS from Sierra Leone, whom actually handed over to, who is Julius Maada Bio. But they want to say us what is actually going on, and from what we're hearing, it's like the guy is on his way, to Nigeria before he was, intelligence spread, and the ECOWAS standby force intelligence unit. I don't know how they operate, but from there he got apprehended, and because if you look at him, it looks like there's nothing different, and that is why this woman has been crying that he doesn't know where my husband is. I'm not sure. I cannot continue like this. And I already said that with time we're going to unveil, we're going to tell Nigerians the truth where his husband is. It's possible that the man is talking about, a lot of things, because we have one degree, we have one meaning. All of them will say that for Sudan. But what we are hearing now, that the one that came into the country, is the one they took to London. But the real one just said that I am relocating to Niger. Is the one now that got arrested. That's the problem we are having now, currently now. So there's controversy over, this Buhari death. We don't show people that, these guys can do anything for power. The Fulanis are desperate. Because without that, it's going to expose a lot of things concerning the Fulani presence in Nigeria. The Fulani, Nigeria have rejected anything that has to do with Fulani. And remember that Nigeria now is a Sahel nation. Powered by the leader of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré. And now that Nigeria cannot be able to run over whatever happened in ECOWAS, we are seeing the secret now in Niger. That the man that have left Aso Rock in 2023 is in Niger Republic and has been arrested. And from what we are hearing now, let us believe that is true. It's not. Maybe it's a mistake, or even it's not a mistake, or it's being reported to be false, or whatever. But I can tell you, the ECOWAS standby force, who identified him, maybe possibly they have been trailing him based on report, investigation, that this man, they have beat a lot of Buhari more than 3 times. That this one, after this one will come again and they play this one. After this one will come again and they play this one. This happened in the United States of America under a president called Stallone, if I can remember, about how many years ago or thereabout, and when we saw it, it's real. So I don't know why Aisha Buhari keep insisting that the man who is saying they stop her from having access to, because of whatever has played out, is not my husband.
Not the husband.
Yes.
A lot of people said, do you not think they were divorced? But although they are public figures, but do you not think they were divorced during, when Aisha was in Dubai for close to 2-3 years? But Buhari was all alone then. And so even at one time, the nephew of Buhari in Douala and Aisha had to run from Asoro because there was a big, issue there in Asoro. So do you possibly think that they were divorced. Maybe that's why she could not, or that's why they were not together.
It is a very serious thing, and it has attracted the international community. And I can tell you that Joe Biden said it very clearly that Buhari is actually dead 6 years ago, as being reported in that platform. You know, so Aisha Buhari, I also sensed something, and for him, for her not to be involved in what was building as at that time, he disappeared to Dubai. So it was that disappearance that they factored anything, brought so many factors inside. But let me tell you something, you know, the women does not have that presence when it comes to, you know, religion, Islamic religion. They don't have that presence. So whatever they present to them is because she has concluded and felt the man that was presented to. The day Buhari left Abuja and was taken out by Daura and the rest of them, that was the last time he saw the husband. That was the last time. Then they got the first one after like the end of 4 years of Buhari's tenure. They now brought this you know, man Jibril from Sudan, who looked very handsome and a man of many parts. People are talking about, you know, who has memory loss, who can barely recognize anything. You know, he doesn't know the name of his ministers. He doesn't know the name of his aides, you know. But he's doing brief on daily basis what we do. And remember, the family too of Jibril in Sudan has been working tirelessly to make sure that they do not leave any stone unturned. They have to understand and be able to play along for the deal, for that very particular deal to work, until Mazin Nnamdi became a heavy threat to them and began exposing the atrocities surrounding the impostor as alleged in Nigeria that time as president. That was when the global Arabic manhunt for Mazin Nnamdi began, until that criminality was done in Kenya. But now, how would they justify that? Then, whether they are going to present the one that was reported to have been arrested in Niger Republic to Aisha to see whether he is the one that actually got married to him. So that's the whole thing. So you know that this one will look similar. You know, I remember that the one that was in Asu Rock, Abinicio, you know, has always have a soft spot with Niger. We always talk about Niger, supplying them, not knowing that another one has come to replace the one that we thought was heading to Daura. You see, and the real one now, the one that we are looking at, you know, another prototype has been picked in. So if the US government can confirm that this man is not in existence again, you know, and then what do you expect? The Sierra Leone and the ECOWAS standby force and other listen is making sure that maybe they will be able to get more information, because this is a big deceit to the world, and if the world continue to keep silent on the issue that has to do with clone individuals, you know, because of political interest or whatever, or because of an agenda which you feel that that's the only way it can be rooted in Nigeria. Well, I think to an extent, you know, it's an obstacle to them now, the Fulani, the entire Fulani in Nigeria. And if case not taken, that will be the beginning of Fulani exit, you know, final exit. You know, you see now they are not having any beautiful romance with the Niger Republic. The Sahel nations have been attacked by the jihadists and all of them. So, and that was why they say this man that they pick another one, they can never leave him. So I don't know, Tinubu now, you know, everybody is in a state of, you know, confusion. What is actually going on? You can see how the whole thing works. How can the entire head of state and presidency be in one hospital in London? Daura is there, Malami, Abu Salami is there. And you can remember also that the same Abu Salami was being reported to have been given his helicopter, you know, to drop the ammunition and food for Boko Haram inside forests, some forests, and will have it. So maybe that was where the whole thing was seen, and they decided to carry out their deal. But unfortunately, the one that we are hearing that it has been picked in Niger Republic might likely expose them, and that's what we are hearing as Buhari is about to hit Daura, for identification.
Okay, let's not even forget Shehu Gaba, Buhari's aide came out to say that when Buhari actually came back from UK when he was sick, the rats was in his office, so many rats, that's why he could not access. But a lot of people were saying this Buhari could not, the fingerprint was not working for him to access his office. But do you not think that everything is coming to limelight as regards what Nnamdi Kanu was saying back then, that Nnamdi Kanu was dead? Do you not think
the documents of the deal that was signed about these people is still in Abba Kyari's office today, and since that time Abba Kyari died, and nobody has been able to break inside that office and be able to find out and lay hand on some of these documents that are in a very big gun-proof, waterproof, fireproof protection box inside Abba Kyari's office. Let them bust that office and see what is actually there. If what Garba Shehu is saying is true, that he used it to deceive Nigerians and he's not being arrested, nobody is questioning him for anything, he said there is something going on. Now we need to understand. So very clearly you can see where this thing started. It was well planned, it was well calculated, and all the loopholes now is what so many people are battling to understand what actually played inside. So you can see the mistake now. People are asking, how come? Well, Garba Shehu has come to tender apology and apologize to Nigerians or whatever it is, and Nigerians are not ready to listen. They are going to face the consequences of criminality and calamity they committed against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Everybody that's involved will know. Unfortunately, I do not know why this thing is happening now and why Femi Adesina Malami is not on the radar. These people are supposed to be on the radar because I can remember at any point in time, Femi Adesina and Malami both said about how they were able to carry criminality among the nations of the Commonwealth, bridging gaps, destroying friendship, invasions, just because they want a Fulani agenda, because they want Nigeria to be Islamized. And unfortunately, to an extent, there has been resistance, continuous resistance, continuous roadblock to that effect. And that is why the United States of America is saying at this point that now they have not been able to find anything, and it looks as if everything is pointing that actually that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu need to be released for them to find out where and how this man was cloned, buried in a shadow grave in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know whether any of them has the ability, the capacity, or the locus to talk about guilt or no guilt. But let me first of all set the record straight. I delivered my sermon to my congregation in our cathedral. So the hearers or the bearers of the message are primarily the good people of the Diocese of Sokoto. And of course, I'm not unaware of the state of mind of my two friends, Femi Adesina and Garba Shehu, when it comes to talking about Bishop Kukah. They seem to suspend reason and go into overdrive. Unless, of course, the Garba Shehu has plans to convert to Christianity, or he's a closet Christian or an anonymous Christian. I appreciate the fact that when it comes to talking, he has not quoted the Holy Quran, and all he does is end up with some convoluted interpretations of the Bible that are embarrassing in their context. And I'm surprised that Femi Adesina, who I believe is a reverend of sorts in the Foursquare Gospel Church, I'm surprised that he's unable to help his friend put the facts together. But let me simply say that I have made an offer to them, and I still make the offer, that they can choose the venue and choose the time, and just let me know. I would like to sit down with the three of them, beginning with their honorable minister, and both of them. Let us sit down together and talk about Nigeria. I'm ready. I will pay my way. Let them choose the venue. I still repeat that offer to them. Dr. Abati, you've been a spokesman for the president, and I'm sure you know better than anybody else. In your time, spokesman, you are a writer of the finest quality. But I do not remember that I read messages written by you. The job of a spokesman, which you did extremely well, was to highlight, elaborate, debate, and put to the public government policies and what government intends to do. And they use it as an opportunity to clarify public policy as it affects governance and people. These are the only spokesmen that have spent a lot of time buying, photocopying paper and simply typing away text. They have been involved in all kinds of writing of the poorest quality, never talking to the issue. So the first thing is to show you their inefficiency. It is that they are used to writing statements as opposed to talking to Nigerians about policy. And all that this tells you is that 99.9% of the things they write are simply second-guessing what the president's mind is. They have no contact with the president. They have no contact with government policy. And all they are doing is writing on behalf of the president. There's nowhere in the world where the job of this nature is being done and has been done so poorly. Let me, if you may please indulge me, because I need to explain to you and to Nigerians where I am coming from. Let me even cut it by talking about the last 20 years. Dr. Abati, we are not strangers to one another. We knew where we were in 1999 before democracy, and you've made references to some of those issues. But also, let's even start from 1999, since this country returned to democracy. I need to state where I'm coming from, so people can understand by context why I feel the way I feel. The first thing to say is, I have served in 3 successive or even 4 presidents since 1999. I served in the Kukah panel. I served as a member of the Electoral Reform Committee. I was appointed Secretary of the Political Reform Conference. I spent about 7 years, beginning from Obasanjo, right through to this government, going between Abuja, Kaduna, and Ogoniland to reconcile the people of Ogoniland with Shell. My book will be out before the year runs out. So I'm saying, therefore, and I was also crucial to the signing of the second peace accord between General Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan. And if you excuse me, Dr. Abati, I have never told you this, we have not spoken about it, but you played a very critical role that Nigerians don't know, and I'm sure you probably don't even remember. Because when it came to the signing of that accord, you were the one person at the time that President Jonathan then, we had planned a meeting with President Jonathan. The meeting didn't happen because General Buhari, Jono Yegun, and all the team had all moved to Lagos because Asiwaju Tinubu was celebrating his birthday. And given his stature in the APC, his birthday was more or less like a public holiday for the APC. So General Buhari couldn't be at the meeting because the peace committee decided that we wanted the two of them to sit down based on the things we had heard and we were hearing. You remember General Buhari's famous statement about the elections and the outcome when he made the famous statement about Birijini, Karejini, meaning that if the election did not succeed, it will be blood for the monkey and blood for the dog. That it was going to be a fight to the finish. All of us are aware of the tensions that existed in the country at that time. I am humbled by the fact that I was critical and central to getting, led by General Abdul Salam, to getting both men to sign the peace accord, which, as you know, the point I want to make is, in the morning of that day, just 2 days to the election, when General Buhari had agreed, finally, we were able to track him down, he had agreed that he would meet with us at 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't know how to reach President Jonathan because President Jonathan had told us he was flying to Asaba at 9 o'clock that morning. If you remember, I called you, I was able to reach you on the phone, and I said, look, we have a text of the peace accord that we want President Jonathan to please sign. Can you help take the text to him? I asked you, do you have your iPad with you? You said, yes. I sent you the mail. You took to President Jonathan. He signed it. I was able to persuade President Jonathan to please shift his journey to Asaba and come sign the peace committee, the peace accord. The rest is history. I am saying so because I'm just saying I'm not a stranger to the process we're in. While we were sweating and doing all these things, Femi Adesina was being paid a salary by Ojikalu, and he did a good job in the Sun as a journalist. Garba Shehu was working for Atiku. So Lai Mohammed was working for Tinubu. So I think everybody should be able to answer his father's name. And I can say that the reason why I'm emotional and passionate about the things of this country and where we are today, I have paid my dues. Let each and every one of my critics tell me where they were at the most critical moment in Nigeria's history. It's not that people, now that people's bank accounts have swallowed, that they can probably try to preach gospel to us that they themselves don't believe in. I'm sorry, I'm taking.
Thank you, sir. Not at all. In recent months, you've been quoted as saying, amongst other things, that you are opposed to nepotism and insecurity, not to President Buhari, that President Buhari still takes your calls, even though you're highly critical of him. And you recently also supported his position, even though he was criticized for declining his assent to the electoral bill because of that clause, making direct primaries compulsory. And you supported that, you agreed with that position. So my question here is, what is your response to the fact that you're being accused of hatred of President Buhari and his government, and there's some kind of a personal vendetta against the president?
As I said, my two friends are desperate to be seen to be doing their job. Nigerians, one and all, including those who can barely read, know that they've done a terribly bad job of their assignment. Because, as I said in the beginning, spokeswomen to the president, all you have to do is to see what the spokesperson of the President of the United States of America is doing, to see what the spokesperson of the Prime Minister of the UK is doing. As I said, none of these people have ever given you an impression that, look, this is what government, because ask yourself, when last did you see a Femi Adesina or a Garba Shehu sitting, Dr. Abati, the table is still there, and addressing the Nigerian media and taking questions from them? I am saying President Buhari knows that I have the greatest respect for him, and I believe he's a gentleman. But for me, as the president of Nigeria, he's done a terribly bad job as president. Nothing I'm saying is new. All the pastors who preached yesterday, all the people that you reported, tell me one single, Rufai was even perhaps much clearer than I am. Tell me one single thing in my text message, in the message I delivered, that you disagree with, and we can talk about that. But for me, that a Muslim will be the one to try and tell me what an Easter message should contain. You see, I understand all these things. So for me, General Buhari, President Buhari knows himself that it is nothing personal. And he also, I know that one thing the president said to me, and I was humbled, was when I had rumors, people were telling me that the president is angry with me because of some things I had said at the beginning of the life of this administration, which is, please get on with the job of governance and stop. The fighting of corruption can go on pari passu. One shouldn't cancel out the other. The Buhari apparatchiks all descended on me. Today, 99% of all those people are now, they are the ones who are asking me, what did I see that the rest of Nigerians didn't see? So, but one thing the president said to me, and I asked him whether he had heard and how he felt. The president said to me, quote, I can quote him verbatim. He said, Bishop Kukah, even if I know where you stand on any issue in Nigeria, what connected me with President Buhari and what has connected me with 99% of Nigerian Muslims is not the Catholic Church. It is my public position on a lot of things. And I'm not saying this because I expect people to agree with me. And I've said this severally. Nigerians have been extraordinarily magnanimous because I have not had that many people saying to me, we disagree with you. And I've never spoken because I know the issues. The primary beneficiary of the things I'm saying is myself, and I speak my mind. Now, if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, let's clarify the issues. So for me, all these people who are talking about I'm attacking the president, where did I attack the president? I didn't attack his person. Is it about the nepotism that is stranger to us? And the two critical things I have fundamental disagreement with this president is his inability to manage diversity effectively and efficiently. I have studied diversity as a subject, so I understand what I'm talking about. The second thing is that those who think that this thing is about President Buhari have never dealt with the issues of his character or lack of it. I believe he's a gentleman. But as far as being the president of Nigeria is concerned, we're talking about two different things. And please, if you may just indulge me, there was an interview that Stella Obasanjo of blessed memory, God rest her soul, granted to State House magazine. And the issue was, she was asked many questions about her husband. They asked her, please rank your husband as a husband, as a president, and as a father, and as a husband. Now, it was very interesting. I remember that interview very well. Mrs. Obasanjo said, look, as a president of Nigeria, I rank my husband between 80 and 90%. I live with him. I know he's doing very well. As a father, I think she ranked him maybe 30 or 40, I don't remember, 30 or 40% or so. Then as a husband, she said something like she's got him 30% or something of that nature. What am I saying? I'm not the first person to disagree with Buhari's policy. His own wife has done so. I live in northern Nigeria, and I can tell you the things that one is hearing every blessed day. You don't even need to hear them. All you need to do is to be alert. So these guys should not be sitting in their air-conditioned offices, drinking coffee and then just thinking that somehow everything is hunky-dory. It's just that we don't seem to appreciate. Let them disagree with the text of my sermon or any of the things I've written.
All right, Bishop, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk some more. There's a lot to still talk about on the show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Our guest is still the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Matthew Hassan Kukah. Father, thank you very much for staying with us. Well, Rufai.
All right. Thank you so much, Father. So, Father, I think it was a couple of months ago, you made a Christmas message that a lot of people reacted to. In fact, some were even calling for attacks on you and your life. I'd like to know how you've lived within, all of those calls for attacks by various groups. And also, you had a chance to speak, with the International Body of Foreign Relations Committee in America, where you made some vital recommendations about the things going on in Nigeria, for the goodwill of elucidation in the Easter period. We would like to get those, copious notes on how we can fix a lot of our problems, niggling problems, I should say, Father.
Well, first of all, this is a commercial period. Let me say that in another month or so, my new book titled The Broken Tongues, The Elusive Quest for Cohesion in Nigeria, which is a collection of some of my convocation lectures, is going to be out. It will illustrate to you, some of my agonies and all the struggles and so on and so forth. Look, I'm a Christian, and I think anybody who has a bit of some level of faith must also be convinced that, look, you don't measure what you are saying by how many hands are raised in support of you. It's only truth that truth validates itself. I have never tried to speak because I want people to agree with me. I've only spoken my mind, and I've always constantly thanked all the media that have made this opportunity available to me. What I will tell you on Monday, I will tell you on Tuesday. What I tell you in the morning, I will tell you at night. So I'm sorry, I've got my own faults, but I think even my worst enemies will tell you that one of the things I don't do is to equivocate, especially when we're dealing with very clear issues of moral choices. My time in America, it was, a lot of it was, unfortunately for me, 90% of the things that were said were actually based on ignorance, because people didn't understand the context of what happened. Generally, including my friends from the presidency, what everybody was saying that I went to address the American Congress, and I told the American Congress bad things about Nigeria. Unfortunately, for a lot of the Americans know far more about what is happening in our country than anybody. And secondly, I didn't go to address the American Congress. I went for a conference, and I had 3 platforms at the conference, and I spoke. And the theme of the conference was on religious persecution. I spoke on the persecution of Christians specifically. My Muslim critics said to me, why didn't you talk about the killing of Muslims? I said, another speaker was asked to speak on the persecution of Muslims as they saw it. I was asked to speak about the persecution of Christians as I saw it. I wasn't in a position to amend what was said. But again, like I said, can you name one single thing that I said that you disagree with? So look, contextually, that's why I took time to tell you where I've come from in the discussion about Nigeria. And I feel that I have very, very little else to prove to Nigerians about where my heart is, regarding this country. A lot of the guys who are saying the things they are saying today, I know where we were with Eli Mohammed and Bashir Bola, Ashwaju Tinubu, and all the members of NADECO, and all the difficult things we had to deal with. Yesterday, my good friend Dr. Kayode Fayemi called me. We were just joking and laughing on the phone, over the message. But because of the kind of background he has come from, of struggle, I used to say to him jokingly, I said, look, you are the first person to start a pirate radio. And this is where you've ended up. So the problem with our situation in Nigeria is that there's no consistency in the system. There are very few people that can tell you these are the miles that we have logged that have qualified us to be here. Now, again, if the elections end, many of these people who are presidential spokesmen today may find another job somewhere. So for me, if it is talking about Nigeria, just ask me the questions or where you think my analysis is wrong. And of course, I'm not saying it because I'm right. I'm saying it because this is what I feel. So when people react, I'm actually very happy. They don't have to agree with me, but that reaction, I'm a public intellectual. My responsibility and duty is to provoke conversation. But we are living in a semi-feudal environment where people think that, imagine, and Africans will tell you, man is talking, woman is talking, big men are talking, small people are talking. We're in a democracy, and a good number of the operators of this system don't understand the ingredients of democracy. They just think democracy is about building roads. They tell you, oh, see the infrastructure we are working on. No, the basis of the things that make democracy what it is are intangible. They are about freedom of expression. They are about expanding the frontiers of human imagination and thinking. So any attempt to limit those ideas collapses, and it's about managing diversity. So, and if I tell you the way I feel about what this government has done, I know what I'm talking about. The facts bear me out. The records are there. About we are fighting insecurity. Have we ever had a time in Nigeria that you say all the security people, all the people holding security positions in Nigeria are all Christians or all Muslims or from one tribe? How do you run a country like that on issues as sensitive? Because the beauty, you go to the FBI, you go to the CIA, they will tell you people are going out in the FBI are learning Igbo, they speak Yoruba, you have to have listening devices across the board. So when you now bring, nepotism is horrible. It is evil precisely because it denies you as a leader an opportunity to hear other voices. So all you have is you just end up in an echo chamber in which all of you are speaking the same language, all of you are praying, all of you think the same, and so on and so forth. So for me, when I speak like this, I'm not, if my mother were president of Nigeria or my father were president of Nigeria, they are not, because both of them are dead. I will take the same position if there is any evidence in my mind that everybody is not being carried along. You can't satisfy everybody, but at least give people the impression that they matter. You are not voted by people from one religion or region. You are not voted by people from their town. So for me, what we are doing is killing democracy. And by allowing banditry to gain the kind of scope it has gained, we're actually trying to use democracy to kill democracy. Those are the things that I'm passionate about, and that is why I'm resistant, to anything that tries to close those doors of opportunity.
Well, Bishop Kukah, in your reflection, you talked about the conflict between Caesar and God as part of the problems we have in Nigeria. How can we resolve that conflict between Caesar and God as we move towards a new transition, another transition in Nigerian politics? And you say the system has broken down, and you provided more than enough illustration. How do we fix this broken system called Nigeria? Those two questions. Well,
Dr. Abati, remember that every Nigerian who raised his hand to say he wanted to be president or governor told us what he was going to do. And I have never taken President Buhari out of the realm of the promises he made to Nigeria. And I'm saying to his so-called spokesman, let them tell me, give us chapter and verse. Let them tell me all the promises that were made. There is a box we can tick. For me, those are the issues we're talking about. So the people who are now telling you they want to be a president, they believe that they can fix the problems of Nigeria. Your responsibility and your duty, and I put it in my statement, we must now look at a gift horse in the mouth. We are no longer interested in the promises you're making because, first of all, politics in Nigeria has always been a monologue. That is the PDP, the APC, all these parties, they just carry their people, pay a few women, pay a few poor people to gather in the stadium. They go there, they speak for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they talk to themselves, they clap for themselves, and everybody goes so. Then they go and sew a new gear, and then they prepare to go to the next town. We must now insist, because we are better educated than most of the people who are asking for this position. We on this other side, this is where the professors are, and this is why we have this great tragedy that the universities of Nigeria have not been given the respect that they deserve. And any country, the fact that our universities are closed suggests very clearly that we have opted and opened the doors for the banditry. So most of these things we're talking about are things that are the result of politics without the refined ingredients of intellectualism and diagnosis. So it is our duty, and it is the business of the media. And I thank this day for now opening up this opportunity. But it shouldn't be a monologue. Nigerians we must create the opportunity to be able to interrogate all these people, and they design the mechanism. Because the reason why people like us are talking, my opponents, like the spokesman of the president, think that we have cast our vote. Let us all go to sleep. And all the obligation we have is to pray for our leaders. And that takes me to answer your question about Caesar and God. Dr. Abati, I'm a priest. And also, I have studied a bit of theology, so I understand this issue. I'm not going to take lectures from illiterates who don't understand the scriptures nor the politics. The idea, the debate, the tension between Caesar and God. If you remember the text in the Bible, what was the issue? They approached Jesus, they said, what are we to do? Are we to pay tax to Caesar, or are we, what are we to do? Now, still God, Jesus said to them, give me the coin. Whose image is on the coin? They said, well, the image of Caesar. So he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. Nigerians have, in their naivety, and let me say secular analysis across the world, have taken this to mean that Jesus was talking about the separation of religion and politics, only superficially. The real context of what Jesus was saying, which you can only insinuate by extrapolation, is Jesus says, okay, the coin belongs to Caesar. So Caesar has dominion over the coin. But who is Caesar answerable to? Caesar is answerable to God. Therefore, the coin and Caesar belong to God. And that is why you move from there to say politics should be an act. It's a call from God, and it should be an act of serving God. So those who think that what Jesus was saying was that politics is here, religion is here, and so all these journalists who are telling me, oh, Bishop, please go back if you want to be a politician. You are a journalist. Were you trained to go? Were you trained to to work for any president? I understand. Like I said, I am political, but I'm not a politician.
We make history daily, and unlike in those days, social media is available to document history. I'm still talking about the brutalization of former President Buhari. I remember when he came into power, if my memory is not failing me, one of the statements they made was that Nigerian hospitals have become mere consulting clinics. I hope I am right. Is this Sani Abacha that announced the coup that Nigerian clinics have become Nigerian hospitals have become mere consulting clinics? And in 1984, I was a house officer at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. And President Buhari, Major General then, came to visit the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. And a matron was pushing an empty trolley. There were no drugs in the trolley. The matron was just pretending that to go and serve drugs. You know, Nigeria, the point of this we are hypocrites in this country. Very hypocritical, particularly civil servants, commissioners, any person, local government chairpersons, traditional rulers, pastors. We are hypocrites. We dare not say the truth because we have skeletons in our cupboards and we have meat in our mouth. When you have meat in your mouth, you don't whistle. The matron was pushing an empty trolley. First of all, it's not matrons that serve drugs. But that day, she just wanted to be hypocritical. And there was a consultant then, he's retired as a professor, Scott Emuakbo. I discussed with him after I did a video that a personal appeal to President Buhari during NSAS. That's in 25 years ago. That when he came to UBTH, Professor Scott Emuakbo now, thank God he's still alive, and he told Buhari, you know, some people don't care, some people don't fear. And I suspect he's an old boy of government college, Ugeli too. We don't care, we don't fear. He said, Mr. President, this is an empty trolley, a drug trolley. There are no drugs inside. And he called me nearly 38 years, 40 years later and told me that he was detained for 24 hours for embarrassing the president. How markets? Till today, they are still sending patients to buy drugs from UBT. They will send them to town to go and buy drugs. Buy drugs. You don't know the authenticity of those drugs, whether they are fake. They send people out of UBT to buy drugs, to buy urine bags, to buy things. It is still on till today. After 41 years. Same thing in all our hospitals around the country. Sometimes they don't even look at the one that happened in our Abuja Medical Center. They refuse to attend to the patients. Unlike here, where they attend to animals. An animal was injured. They called a cat. I was told the hair was falling off. And they called the ambulance from the veterinary clinic, animal care, to come and look at the cat that the hair was falling off. And the vet people said that the hair was falling off because the cat was an old cat that is part of the aging process. Cat. Ologbo. Pussycat. Adamba. What do they call it in Igbo language? Pussycat. Pussycat. When there is an accident in Nigeria, you can't call for an ambulance. Even if there is an ambulance, there are no roads. Anytime I am traveling from Kokomaiko to any part of Lagos, I will see ambulances with patients inside in the traffic. We are living by the grace of God. I'm always scared to fall sick because before they carry you from Ugeli to Ogara, traffic, police roadblock, Julius Berger constructing bridge, area boys, road safety, soldiers, custom, Okowa police and local government task force. The person will die. Then you reach Ogara. They will say you go and buy plaster, go and buy card, go and buy this, go and buy that. Hey, nkabo gini. What be this? Can you lay? And see there? Person will die. Buhari, military era. Buhari, 8 years of civilian rule with all the monies budgeted, still went and died in another man's country. It's a shame. It's a shame. And you will see all these hypocrites, parasites, whether they are men of God or men of Satan, whether they are presidential or lofofo, they will come. It's as clean as a whistle. Ta! Oh, Gobina. Clean as a whistle. Now whistle won't blow. You didn't come into power to be clean as a whistle. You came into power to alleviate the pains of the people. Professor Scott Mark is still alive. The man they detained because of trying to let the president know that there are no drugs. He's still alive. The president they deceived has died in London. Those of you who are pretending, do you remember the first currency exchange? The first currency exchange. The pains we went through. Essential commodity pains we went through. Essential commodity pains that we went through. Sugar, milk, because of the useless policies of Buhari. Then he came, after 40 years, he came with another currency exchange. The first currency exchange, 53 suitcases from belonging to the emir of his place were allowed to pass. And Atiku that stopped those suitcases was punished. Buhari never follows through with any of his decisions. He never follows through. He is an inconclusive idealist. Everything that happened in the first regime during the military era was through Idiagbon. Buhari never follows through. His tribe, his religion, his personal interests, and his innate weakness would make the team fail. I prove my point. When the elections were to take place in 2023, people said there was too much money outside the system, and that politicians were accumulating these monies to rig the election. And Buhari came up with currency coloration. We spent a lot of our money to recolor our currencies. And people suffered. People suffered. People suffered. We were now buying our own currency. At a point, people were now using CFA in the northern part of the country under Buhari. He has an inconclusive approach to issues. He would do as if he did not know. If the attempt was to prevent Tinubu from winning the primaries and winning the elections, the attempt failed woefully. And the duplicity of being with Tinubu and at the same time trying to scuttle his election is evil. And Mumu Emefiele put his head inside. We know how we suffered. And Emefiele is paying the price. And eventually, he did not conclude it. We still had to be using old currency and new currency.
Alright guys, thank you very much for staying to the end of this video. Like what I always say, this Muhammad Buhari debt will never end. Hey, this issue of this debt, the talk of this debt can never end. Even the next generations to come will still talk about it. I just feel for his family. Hey, money, power can make people do anything. That is too bad. So guys, I'm dropping it here. Please drop your comment below the comment section. Share this video, make it go viral. So that Nigerians go, they understand and they see, they hear what they happen for this Obodo Nigeria. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye for now.